Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new live class with Platzi English Academy. This is John, and as usual, I'm very excited to be here, like every Tuesday, talking about English and how to, practice your skills, take them to a, brand new level, and having some fun. Having fun is part of the learning process. And this live class will be very special because we don't have one guest, but we have two. And we will be doing some special things that we haven't done before. You are going to be participating quite a lot, and we are going to do an experiment as well. So your participation will be very, very important. Go ahead and tell me in the chat where you are connecting from right now. Tell me, what time it is, because I know there was a recent, time change in some countries, daily savings is happening. So make sure you tell me in the chat where you are connecting from and also what time it is. I want to make sure we are fully aligned on this exercise. So knowing where you are connecting from is very, very important. In this live class, we will be talking about artificial intelligence. Yes, I know we have spoken quite a lot. We have seen a lot about ChatGPT and a lot of other different, functions and things that you can do with AI, with Notion, with Google, with Teams. So we have two guests that will be talking about the use of AI, to improve our communication at work, to continue learning English, and of course, to integrate these tools as, more tools and opportunities to improve our English and communication. I see some comments already in the chat. So we have students from Guatemala. We have students from Bucaramanga, of course, my lovely city. Something funny is that one of my guests today is also here in Bucaramanga and is having his birthday today, by the way. We also have comments from El Salvador. It's great to have people from El Salvador, from Chile as well, from Santa Marta, from Mexico, all the way from Argentina as well. If I'm not wrong, in Argentina, it is 8 p.m. right now. And in Mexico right now, it's 5 p.m. And El Salvador is also 5 p.m. according to what I see in the chat. In Bolivia, Annie says that it's 7 p.m. We have more students from Argentina as well. Well, this is going great. I'm glad we have representation from multiple cities because the more we learn about this topic, well, the better. Now, cutting to the chase, we have two special guests. But before, I want you to bring your pen, your notebook, and write down the next couple of things that I'm going to share with you. And is that two very crucial things for English Academy and for your learning process are happening very soon. The first is taking place next week. We have a very special live class with the one and only CEO and co-founder of Platzi, Freddie Vega, will be with us live next week here in Platzi English Academy. So make sure you register, you book this event, you add it to your calendar, because he will be talking about the importance of taking risks and using your English in that process. So next Tuesday, same time, same channel, Freddie Vega here with Platzi English Academy. And something else that you need to write down so you don't forget is that we're having a very special event in Mexico City and in Bogota, both events in person, happening at 6:30 p.m. next March the 29th. This will be a very special event that we call Content Factory, in which we are going to connect with other people from other teams, from other faculties, to build together our community. So make sure you write this down. Next Tuesday, Freddie Vega, and then March the 29th, in-person events in Bogota and Mexico City. Now, we will be leaving the links in the chat so you can go and register. And without any further ado, let's welcome the two guests that we have for this special live class. First, we have Belinda. She is the CEO and founder of Viva Translate, one of those incredible AI apps available in the market that will help you a lot to communicate better with your coworkers in different work settings and environments. So, Belinda, it's always a pleasure to interact with you. Thanks for accepting this invitation. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here live and sharing my English speaking abilities to hopefully help people learn English a bit better too. And yeah, very excited to be here.
Awesome. Belinda, where are you connecting from right now?
So I'm in San Francisco right now, which is my home base. I travel pretty frequently to Colombia and Sao Paulo as well for work, but San Francisco is my base.
Fantastic, Belinda. Once more, thanks for accepting this invitation. Viva Translate and Platzi have a goal in common, and is to help people communicate effectively and more professionally. So I'm glad to have you here. This is going to be a very enriching conversation. And we also have the school owner of the Professional Growth and Diversity School at Platzi. He's also the teacher of one of our most recent courses at English Academy, which is precisely the use of artificial intelligence to communicate in work settings. Renzo, thanks for accepting this invitation. Happy birthday, by the way, and welcome. How are you doing?
Excellent. I'm doing excellent, John. Thank you for those birthday greetings. It makes me feel very special. I'm really, really happy to be here. I think this is going to be a very, very productive discussion around the topic of AI. We all know that artificial intelligence right now is all the hype, and we have good reason to think so. So I'm eager to learn in this discussion we will have.
Great, Renzo. When you told me you wanted to celebrate your birthday in a special way, immediately I said, you know what? We need to be in a live class with Belinda and thousands of students talking about artificial intelligence. So thanks for being here and for accepting this invitation.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here. It's the best way to celebrate my birthday.
Fantastic. That is great. Well, to start with, we are going to have Belinda telling a little, sharing with us a little bit about the history behind artificial intelligence, but we're going to do this in a different way. She will be kind of like narrating a story. She will be telling us how AI started. And in the meantime, we're going to be practicing our listening skills. Okay. So the exercise will be the following. Belinda will speak slowly so you can pay attention to what she's saying. And then we're going to fill some gaps that you will see on screen. As she's speaking, pay attention to those words that are not present in the slides and leave those words in the chat. We will pause every time to check your answers, and that way you can see and evaluate your listening skills. Okay, so Belinda, we are ready to learn about the history of AI. I know you have a story to share with us, so go ahead and use your slides. I'll be very attentive to your comments in the chat to see if you get all the words right, or to see how many words you get right, okay?
Perfect. I'll share my screen then, and we can get started with the history of AI. And some context there too is, it's pretty important to be able to know what the background is of, this key piece of technology that is shaping our lives and has shaped it even more in just the past few months since ChatGPT was released and GPT-4 was released just today. So, and also Google released their whole suite of AI tools. So it's good to know what the kind of that background is, if folks have not already. So let me just share my screen really quick.
Awesome. I'm excited to learn more details about this story. So let's see. Remember, I'll keep a close eye on the chat. And the idea is that you listen to what Belinda is saying and you try to complete the gaps as she talks. We will confirm those words every time to see how your listening skills are. So all ears and eyes, Belinda.
Awesome. Can everyone see my screen all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'll start with narrating the story from the 1950s. So the origins of AI can be traced back to the 1950s when the term was first coined. At the time, AI was seen as a way to create machines that could think and learn like humans. So,
all right. Nice. So this is the first part of this story, of this history, actually. So go ahead and write in the chat the words that you heard from Belinda, so we can continue the story and we can complete this story. So the origins of AI can be, okay, and we already have a couple of comments in the chat. We have Joe. Joe was the first person. He said the first word is traced, and then think and learn. We also have Cindy saying that those are the words. Santiago, Jose, Christian. It seems that most of our students agree on those words, Belinda. So let's take a look and see if they are right.
Nice. That's exactly right. Congrats. So yeah, can be traced, and machines that can think and learn like humans. All right.
Perfect.
So next one. In the mid to late 1900s, AI researchers focused on developing rule-based systems, which used if-then statements to make decisions, which we still do to this day. That's my little aside. The systems could perform specific tasks, such as playing chess or understanding natural language.
All right. This one was a bit more challenging than the one before. We have 4 words this time. Some students said, oh yeah, traced was in the past. Yes, Radix, you are completely right, because this is history, right? This, past already, okay? We have a couple of students already commenting on this second slide. Okay, they're saying that this one is a bit more challenging, Belinda. Okay, we have some comments already from Laura, from Federico, Santiago, Joe. They say as well. Okay, some people say rule-based, chaos, understanding, natural, robust, natural language, chess, cheese, play. Okay, all right. It's a bit more divided this time, Belinda. So let's reveal the answers and see how many you guys got right.
Awesome. So The first person who said rule-based was correct. It's researchers developing rule-based systems.
Mhm.
And these systems could perform specific tasks like playing chess or understanding natural language.
Perfect. There were people that were very close, right? It wasn't role based, it was rule based. Okay, most of you got it right except for that little thing in the spelling. So great. Let's continue, Belinda.
Cool. Awesome. So the next one here is the breakthrough came in the 1980s with development of neural networks. Neural networks are a type of machine learning that allows systems to learn from data rather than being programmed with specific rules. This allowed AI systems to become much more flexible and capable, and progress began to accelerate.
Okay, we're taking this a level up every time. Okay, we started with 3 words. Now we have, in the previous one, we had 5 words. This time we have 6, if I'm not wrong. So this is really challenging your listening skills, which is great. By the way, we can already see a couple of students in the chat. Oscar was the first one this time. He says, breakthrough, learn from data, both pronunciations are correct. Flexible and capable. Okay, we also have Elkin, breakthrough. Okay, different spelling there. To learn from data, flexible. Okay, breakthrough, only through. We also have learn from data, flexible, capable. Okay, so here we have a more, a closer consensus with the words, Belinda. So let's reveal them and see if they're right.
Perfect. Yeah. Oscar was right on the money from the beginning. So the breakthrough came in the 1980s. Neural networks are a type of machine learning that allows systems to learn from data. And AI systems became much more flexible and capable.
Fantastic. All right. I'm impressed. I'm gladly impressed with our students' listening skills. Okay, so let's carry on and see how they do next time.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm like, even for me, for this slide, I had to look at my notes because I didn't remember these off the bat. I was looking to remember. So props to you all. Cool. Okay, next one. In the 1990s, a decade later, AI started becoming integrated into everyday life. Speech recognition systems were used to transcribe dictation, and machine translation systems were used to translate documents.
Okay, now we're back to only 2 gaps. Okay, let's see how you do this time. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get them right, considering your previous record. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat over here. Okay, we're still seeing a couple of comments from the previous slide. Okay, that's good. Vero was the first person this time, and one of the words was integrated, according to Vero. We also have Cindy saying integrated and transcribe. Okay, integrated and transcribe. Most of our students integrated and translate. It's another option presented by Annie and by Ted Sulahan. We also have integrated and transcript. Okay, most of our students say integrated and transcript. Some of them integrated and translate. So let's reveal the answers.
Cool. I revealed one a little bit sooner, but that's integrated is correct, and transcribe for the second one. But transcribe and translate are kind of 2 sides of the same coin. So that's the one. Transcribe.
Okay, perfect. And we're almost reaching the end. So let's continue.
Awesome. So the 2000s saw the rise of big data, which provided AI systems with access to vast amounts of information. This allowed AI to become even more powerful and versatile, and it paved the way for the development of deep learning. Deep learning is a type of machine learning that uses neural networks with many layers, allowing systems to learn even more complex tasks.
Wow, this one has some more, some trickier vocabulary. And something interesting, Belinda, is that most of these words, our students learned to pronounce them in the course that Renzo taught, which precisely focuses on pronunciation of these key terms from the industry. So if you haven't taken Renzo's course quite yet, make sure you visit the chat and you add this course to your pending list so you can practice all this vocabulary and the pronunciation. All right, let's see who the first student was. This time we have R.H. Vargas saying big data, versatile, and neural networks. We also have Camilo saying that the first word, the first two words are big data, big data. Santiago says also big data, versatile, and neural networks. All right, Belinda, let's reveal the words.
Yep. 2000 saw the rise of big data, powerful and versatile, and deep learning uses neural networks.
Ooh, fantastic. All right. I'm impressed. I'm gladly impressed by our students' listening skills. And one more, Belinda.
Cool. So lastly, in 2017, the Transformer model architecture was released by Google. And that led to the wave of innovation we have now with GPT-3, DALL-E 2, Whisper, and ChatGPT.
Okay. We have one compound word, if you will, right? By composed by a couple of words and one single word. One more time, if you haven't taken Renzo's course, this is the opportunity to go and check it after the live class so you can practice the pronunciation of all these terms, which actually were mentioned in his course. So let's see, we have, Vero is very fast today. Vero says that the first word is released. Then we have R.H. Vargas in second place saying also released, both of them in the past. Santiago says released and wave of innovation. Ricardo also says released and wave of innovation. And the same with Laura, Cindy, Federico, Metsuke, and Joel. They all agree on the fact that it's released and wave of innovation. So let's see the answers.
Cool. So it was released and it did lead to a wave of innovation.
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. Thanks, Belinda, for sharing the history of AI, the evolution of AI through this listening activity with all our students. It's now time to see AI in action. And in this next segment, Belinda will be sharing with us some of the applications of AI. But to see AI in action for communication and learning purposes, I have something for you to do. This will take you just a couple of seconds, okay? While you listen to me, go to Google right now, okay? Open a separate tab on your browser, go to Google, right? And find the Google Chrome web store and extensions for Google, okay? Google web store and extensions, and type Viva Translate, which is precisely, one of the apps that it's available online for you to use. Once you find it, you will be able to access it and use it as an extension in your browser, okay? Do so and enable it, and you will see the magic while Belinda presents her Ignite on the new implications of AI in today's communication and learning. So remember, go to Google, find the web store, extensions, Viva Translate. Download it. It takes just a couple of seconds. Enable it in your browser, and you will see the magic happening right here, right now. Belinda, I'm very excited to see what else we can do with AI. I'm excited that our students will be able to see this in action. So once more, we are all ears, and I'm excited to learn from you.
Cool. Sounds good. Do you want me to share my screen and walk through the process of
Yes, let's do it while our students are accessing and doing the homework. all right, the piece of homework that we have for them today. So you can see in action, this extension for Google, and how to use it then in the future, also for your meetings, for other kind of activities like this. So let's do so. And let's go with your Ignite, Belinda, as well.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, so let me just share my screen again, and you can take a look here. I think someone posted the link to this is the Platzi link just to sign up, and you can click to register the account. And then after you've registered, very simple, then you can, download the extension. And the reason for this too is because, there are a lot of Chrome extensions nowadays that are AI related, and some of them are amazing. They're like really, really cool extensions. For us, particularly, like what we're building is translation related and transcription related, but in a way where it can also help you learn English. So I thought it would be kind of a fun tool. We set up this little page for you guys to set up, pretty easy. And listen along as I speak. Hopefully I'm not speaking too quickly. And yeah, so once you've kind of installed the extension, then you can go up here to pin the extension to the top and go to the Platzi, back to Platzi tab here to be able to provide live captions. So I would come back here, and then I can click live CC, start live subtitles. Here, go to El Poder, etc. The Platzi tab, share Platzi's tab, and then share. And then as soon as I do that, I'll be able to see Viva working in action for transcribing the meeting. So hope everyone can see that all right. I think maybe it might have been a bit, since I'm in a Zoom meeting and also streaming, that process might be a little bit, hopefully the sharing screen made sense there. But at that point, then you'll be able to see both the transcriptions and translations with both the English and Spanish, and follow along with both. But
nice.
Yeah.
I did a process myself. I'm ready to see it in action. I also see some students that are confirming that they have it and that they are ready. So, okay, let's see it in action, Belinda.
Perfect. So continuing on with the history of AI, let me share my screen again with that tab, which shares more about the timeline of AI.
Perfect. We have Santiago in the chat confirming. Cindy says, thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Donovan says, wow, nice extension. Thanks. Frederick says, unbelievable. Okay. MD Bello says, amazing extension. Okay. So it's time to see it in action, Belinda.
Perfect. That's great to hear. So yeah, you can feel free to toggle it to also all English, and that also helps with English comprehension for sure. Some of our teammates do use it that way as well, where we have some people on our team who only speak Spanish or only speak Portuguese, and they'll toggle back and forth between Spanish or Portuguese and English during our all team meetings. So that's been pretty fun. So let me share my screen with the rest of this slide show. And share more about generative AI and its applications. So yeah, I guess this is this is a little bit more on the story of what we were talking about before in the warm-up, where the 1950s is actually during around World War II is when the first AI programs, as we know it now, developed. Machine translation was actually the first application of natural language processing. And it was used to decode German communications for World War II, and I'm sure the Germans were decoding, English communications as well. And that was one of the first use cases, was machine translation. Fun fact is, at that time, people thought, oh, in 10 years, translation will be completely solved. By the 1960s, translation will be completely solved. And here we are several decades later, and we've gone much further along the way, but it definitely did not take just 10 years. But so yeah, 1950s was when those first AI programs were developed. And then ML algorithms, more ML algorithms were developed in the 60s. In the 70s, research on natural language processing proper began. People started getting really disillusioned in the 80s because there were all these promises about AI and they were not delivered, and people were very sad about that. So there was this AI winter, but luckily, people continued to be working in statistical methods and and data mining. So continue to have more advancements in machine learning and data mining in the 90s. 90s and 2000s saw some chatbots coming up, intelligent personal assistants, and then in the 2010s is we saw a lot of breakthroughs in image recognition, speech recognition, natural language processing. In 2017 is when the transformer model architecture came out from Google. And OpenAI kind of took that, and the rest of the industry took that and ran with it. And OpenAI put a bunch of data behind the transformer architecture, and the combination of a lot of data and that architecture tweaked as well for certain use cases, different kinds of use cases, not just text, really created the applications that we're using today, which are super cool things. And also, what Viva uses for our transcription translation. We have our own machine learning folks in-house to build this out specifically for people to communicate better across language. And in the 2020s, where we are now, with ChatGPT, well, GPT-3 was released in 2020, and then there was a GPT-2 even before that. But I think ChatGPT was especially notable given that it was such a convenient interface to use compared to an API like GPT-3. And with all of that additional that small interface change, and then I guess a couple of changes to small tweaks to the model as well, that really took off at the end of last year, and has been really exciting for the world. And yeah, that's pretty much the timeline. I'll pause there. If there are any questions I can help answer a bit more of, or if not, I can continue onwards.
Awesome, Belinda. I'm sure students are finding this story, the history, very fascinating. It is interesting to see the comments from our students in the chat right now, seeing Viva Translate in action. When you have a moment, go ahead and take a look at some of the comments. They're saying nice extension. It is working for me. Yeah, I'm also using it myself, and I found it very intuitive. And although you were speaking quite fast, it was also very, easy to catch up, or, the extension, caught up quite quickly. So interesting. That's great. Let's carry on, because I know you have some other useful things to share.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess the other things are in terms of just like sharing more about the overall reasons for why AI exists, and how it interacts with humans, and how we are going to see it continue interacting with humans. This is a quote from Andrew Ng, who has a few offices, I believe, in Medellin as well. but he's the co-founder of Google Brain and Coursera. He mentioned, robots are not going to replace humans. They're going to make our jobs much more humane. The difficult, demeaning, demanding, dangerous, dull jobs, these are the jobs robots will be taking. And we are, in this idealistic world, able to live better lives with more automation.
Yeah, it is fascinating, the human component in AI, right? Because there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of comments about that. How will AI replace my position, will replace me in the future, right? And that's the reason why we are also opening the mics to this debate that we will have in just a moment. And is that there's a lot happening around AI, and there's a lot of comments and questions. So here, after this brief introduction and explanation, Belinda, thank you so much for that. By the way, it's now time to hear the voices of everyone. So I have a couple of questions that I would like you and Renzo to answer from your experience in this field. And I want to take advantage to invite all our students also to share their thoughts, their comments in the chat. Tell us what you think about these questions, and also share with us any questions you may have about this field. And to start with, I want to start with something very, very open, and is how can AI really enhance the communication and the learning experience, for all the different parties involved, for students, for coworkers. So how do you see AI, or what's the role of AI right now in the communication and in the learning process from both of your experience, Belinda and Renzo? And let's start with you, Renzo. What do you think about this?
Sure, John, thank you. I think we're seeing a huge wave of tools to expand the work we're doing, and to improve and save a lot of time. Maybe a couple of years ago, it might have taken us a couple of hours to write a text, or even write an email, an important email for our coworkers. And right now, we have tools at our disposal, like ChatGPT, or even the AI tool on Notion, to help us create and edit text very easily. Now, as Belinda said, and I agree, AI won't replace us. And that's because AI is just another tool. Like your word processor, like your Excel spreadsheet, they don't do the work for you. They're like a blank slate that you have to fill with your knowledge and your own, critical thinking. So, for example, in the English course to work with AI tools, we have one class dedicated to using ChatGPT as a tool to come up with exercises for English learning, right? So we can actually use ChatGPT to, for example, create a text that we can use as a reading exercise, or to proofread or correct a text that we're trying to write in English or in any other foreign language, to see what mistakes we might have made, right? Or we can use it to come up with grammar exercises. So there's a lot of things you can do with these tools, and it's really just up to your imagination to see just how far you can take them.
I agree with you, Renzo. It is up to your imagination and up to the use you want to give to AI, right? You just mentioned a couple of examples on how to use AI to boost your English skills and your learning process. From a more business-oriented perspective, Belinda, how do you see AI nowadays in communication, and I would dare and say also remote work?
Definitely. So on the broader application of AI with GPT-3 and especially GPT-4 that just came out today, and all the wonderful applications built on top of both, I think I can talk a bit more on the practical side, which is, what does this look like for remote work, for IT work, for people who are freelancing perhaps, and it really changes the productivity levels of any person who's engaging in a writing based or like creation based medium. So if I'm, say, tasked to copyright something, or tasked to create the designs of a landing page, or to code, all of these applications are ones that will take even less time once we have, once we're working alongside AI augmenting our workflows. And that's something I think, like, if you want to kind of stay ahead of the curve with remote work, and being able to spend even like a weekend or a couple of days when you're free to learn how to use a few of these tools can go a really long way to your productivity, and impressing other people, and learning, and also learning more quickly, whether that's English or engineering skills, writing skills. I think it's a tool. It just happens to be a very effective tool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and just a couple of days ago, we knew about ChatGPT 4, right? And the speed in which things are moving with artificial intelligence is fascinating. And of course, there are a lot of benefits and a lot of possibilities and things we can do with AI. From your experience, Belinda and Renzo, what do you think are some of the potential risks as well when it comes to using AI? There's a lot of ethical dilemmas here, right? From your experience, what are some of those possible risks that may happen?
Sure. Well, that's a very interesting question. And actually, I just saw a comment on the chat, which I liked, which someone was asking, do you think AI will make everyone lazier? And, I think teachers, for example, everywhere in the world, both in schools and universities, they're probably wondering the same thing. Will this make my students lazier? Will it save them that much time that they won't want to put any more effort into their work anymore? Writing an essay used to be a standard assignment, and in pretty much any university in the world. Can we now say that writing an essay is a valid task or project to put students to work on? I think this is evidently a risk, as in you might think that this will bring negative consequences, and you might think that there will be people that might try to take advantage of these tools and use them in a negative way, to just do the work for them, or try to make them do the learning process for them. But the truth is that I think humanity is just really adaptable, and we do have this risk of people overusing AI, or using it for illegitimate purposes. But I think that we will also start developing the tools to adapt to these changes. For example, I think teachers everywhere and university professors are going to start being a lot more critical in terms of what kinds of projects can I make my students do that will actually serve them as a learning exercise, while allowing them to use even these tools that we have at our disposal now. So I think it will just make us more creative. I think I do think there's a risk. There will always be people that will try to use their power to do the wrong for legitimate purposes.
Yes, Renzo. And at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own learning, right? So exactly. If we decide to be lazy, as some of the comments we're seeing in the chat, well, it's up to us at the end of the day, what we want to learn and how we want to learn, right? And the use that we give to these tools is completely up to us as responsible and functional adults, right? What do you think about this, Belinda? What are some other risks that could take place in more work-related environments?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's all about expectation setting for what you're going to be, how you're going to be engaging with your teammates, and also how you're going to be doing the work that you're employed to do. And, I think one thing with Viva is like, I think it's unethical to not tell people if you're using translation when you're responding to them. That's just one piece where it's like, it's all about expectation setting at the end of the day. Like I tell people what kind of tools I'm using, they know, and they care enough about me as a teammate to be willing to accept that and know that I'm putting out good work and they're also putting out good work with the help of these tools. And at the end of the day, if you abstract AI away from it, we use Asana, we use Jira, we use Google Suites, Slack for more effective communication. And, similarly with this next wave, it's riding on the same wave of, becoming more productive. We're not working any less by using a Jira to optimize our software management flows. We're still working really hard and doing really good, good work. So, in terms of the other ethical concerns, I think there's absolutely a need for the majority of the world who maybe is just hearing about AI for the first time in the past 6 months, these recent advancements, to continue staying read up on the topic and understanding maybe how the architecture works, if that's something that's interesting to you, as well as the privacy and security risks. I think these are all really important to consider as consumers, where, we're all consumers of AI. Not everyone is a creator of AI, and having more people around the world who are creating the AI systems that are representative of the demographic of people who are using the AI systems is really important in my eyes. And yeah, I think that's like the root of how we can make sure that we're creating something that is ethical and good for the world as we're building out these AI systems.
Absolutely, Belinda. And you mentioned a key word, and it's expectations. It's up to you, as you're responsible for your own learning process. You're also responsible in a work setting for setting those expectations on the proper use and the good use, I would say, of this AI tools for your day-to-day communication. We've spoken already about the benefits. We've spoken a little bit about the risks of AI, both in the education and and work field. Let's now talk a little bit about limitations. What do you guys think are the most important or relevant limitations of AI nowadays when it comes to education and professional settings and communication? Let's start this time with you, Belinda, from a professional and work-related setting. What are some of those limitations that you see now that you have been an active participant in this innovation process of AI in communication?
Definitely. Well, I think the one thing that AI will never be able to do for us, by definition of being a tool that augments our workflows, is being the curator. So deciding what is like good or bad output. That is still something that we as humans must do if we want to create things that other humans are using, because the AI can help with coming up with a lot of ideas and also coming up with really good ideas. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some checks along the way that a human is doing to make sure that that is the expected output of a particular tool. So that's something where it's where that will never go away. It may change what those checks look like, but we will always be making those decisions of what is considered something we want versus we don't want as an output.
Okay, nice. That decision making behind the scenes is a key limitation nowadays. And from a more educational perspective, Renzo, what are those limitations that you see with AI?
Well, I think you actually mentioned the key limitation I see, which is AI won't do your learning for you. And for example, I think using, for example, ChatGPT to come up with an essay for school, for university, is comparable to paying someone else to do your homework for you. You know, how would you feel if you had to pay someone to do your work or your homework for you? Just because an AI is a machine doesn't mean that it's, you know, less maybe harmful to use that to do your work for you. So I think we shouldn't see AI as a total replacement of a person's work. And actually, the word Belinda used, I think, is quite accurate. I think AI is a tool that will augment the work. So it's another layer on top of the work that humans do. It won't make your decisions for you. It won't just create something out of thin air for you. You have to give it an input still. Even, for example, ChatGPT, which is a great AI, you have to give it a proper input. If you don't give it the right prompt, if you don't tell it exactly what you need to do and what you need it to give you, then ChatGPT doesn't work. So it still takes skill to use AI as a tool and to be able to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do with AI, right? So it's still a tool. We still have to learn to use it. AI won't read your mind. It's not just a magician that can make things you know, pop up from thin air. So it is interesting. It is interesting because I think that the course we created is an example. I think in the near future, the need to learn how to use AI properly will become really, really big. Just like when, for example, computers came up and suddenly everyone had a computer at home and you had all these courses, you know, for people to learn how to use a computer. I think the same thing will happen now with AI. I think it will become a standard for people to start being trained on how to use AI properly and productively.
Fantastic, Renzo. Great examples. Once more, if you haven't taken Renzo's course, go ahead and check it out so you can see some of these, you know, questions and debates in action. And I want to conclude this debate, this panel, with a comment from our students in the chat that I find very powerful. And it comes from Metsuke. They say, we must never use AI as a perfect source of truth without questioning the responses. And this is one of the limitations of AI, right? It will not replace what you do. It is an extra tool, an extra asset. So when using it, question its use, question its answers, its purpose. That is the key to get the most out of it. So powerful words from our students as well. And now to kind of start wrapping up this session, I know, Renzo, you have also prepared something for us. It has to do with allegories, which is something very common when we are talking about artificial intelligence and these moral dilemmas, right? So we have a quick game, a quick activity in which we will have to make decisions based on, you know, famous allegories used in the AI world. So Renzo, I'm excited, and I want to encourage everyone in the chat to make decisions just as Belinda and I will be doing. Renzo will present something to us, an allegory to us. We will choose one way or the other, and go ahead in the chat and make your choices as well so we can compare our answers. So Renzo, I'm excited. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen the activity, the exercise, so I will be genuinely surprised by this.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can come up with, John. Okay, so I have a challenge for you guys, for Belinda and for John. But basically, I'm going to start by first doing a quick recap of what an allegory is. John used this word just now, allegory, and in the course, we learned that allegories are metaphors or stories that we use to illustrate a concept, right? To explain a concept related to AI. I think there's a lot of allegories we use in AI. For example, maybe you can write in the chat if you know what a Turing test is. If you know what a Turing test is, then you're already familiar with allegories, because the Turing test is an allegory. But there's another one that we talk about in the course, which is the trolley problem. And basically, this means that you will have to make a decision in this scenario. And the scenario is you have a trolley on a track that's about to hit a number of people, and then you have to choose if you can pull a lever that will make the trolley change tracks so it doesn't hit those people that are tied to the tracks. There's a cool game that will let you play around with some of these scenarios, and it's a useful way to start a discussion. So I think I can show you what I mean. I will share my screen so you can take a look.
Perfect. I'm excited to choose, although I'm kind of scared with
This
these
is
scenarios.
So this is scenario number one. And I think this one we can probably go over pretty quickly, because of course, this is like level 1 of the game, right? So this is the easiest level. So basically, you have a trolley heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but on the other track, you have one person also tied to the tracks. So Belinda and John, what would you do? Would you pull the lever to divert the track, or would you just do nothing?
Probably both of us agree.
Yeah, I think we do both agree. I mean, taking no action is the same as taking an action in this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, I will pull the lever.
Yeah,
okay.
Same.
Okay, both of you would pull the lever. Okay, maybe on the chat, you can also, you guys listening at home, you can let us know what you would do in this scenario. So let's see, we're gonna pull the lever, and yeah, the track hit the one person, but you saved the lives of the other 5 people, right? And actually, this gives you an interesting insight, because it says 73% of people agree with this decision, right? So most people will prefer saving 5 people, but killing one person to save those 5 people, okay? Which I guess makes sense, right? Now, what about this situation? You have 4 people on one side and 5 people on the other side. What would you guys do? This is just hypothetical. This is just an imaginary scenario, so you're not actually killing anyone right now, but what would you do?
That's a great disclaimer, Renzo. I'll pull the lever once more.
I would pull it as well.
You would pull it too. Okay, so both Belinda and John would pull the lever, which means that you would be making the track hit 4 people. It's 4 lives lost, but you would be saving 5 lives in return, right? Let's pull the lever and see what happens. Okay, just killed 4 people. But see,
hypothetically,
hypothetically, and actually 65% of people agree with this decision, right? So 65% of people would pull the lever. Notice that the percentage is lower than in scenario number 1. It's 65 versus 75. And, maybe some people argue that pulling the lever is an active choice, whereas doing nothing means basically letting things run their course, right? So maybe you might say, okay, no, I don't want to get involved. And if those 5 people are meant to be killed by the trolley, then I guess that's life. But there's a lot of discussion we can have around this. This is a game that you can play around, that you can play with, and you can, navigate through the different scenarios. Here we have another one, for example. This is a very different situations. You have your life savings on one side, and then 5 people on the other. And you can start, imagining that you have these scenarios. But maybe Belinda and John, and also, the people at home, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with AI? This is just a hypothetical scenario, right? It's like an ethical dilemma. But, put yourself in the scenario where you're working for a company that develops autonomous cars, for example, right? Self-driving cars. These are vehicles that will be navigating in the real world. So if you were to, at one point you would have to program the machine to make these kinds of decisions, right? The same happens with robots or anything really that will interact with the physical world. So creating hardware, creating these tools, these AI tools, brings about these interesting issues that we can start thinking of when we are starting to educate ourselves for a career in AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Renzo, this is fascinating, and it's also a great way to practice our English with different words that are maybe not as common as as the ones we use in our day-to-day interactions. So we will share the link of this website so you can practice and have some fun, if you will, with other similar allegories. I want to share, Renzo, the fact that most of our community also agreed on our answers and are part of the vast majority of the percentages that you presented. And the last one, actually, according to the survey, according to the poll, what would you do? Would you pull the lever and lose your lab savings, or do nothing? Also, the majority of people said, yeah, let's lose our money but save the people. So yeah, this was a very interesting exercise, Renzo. Thanks for sharing. Belinda, what would you do? And Renzo, what would you do? I want to send a question back to you this time.
Oh my God, I would, heartbeat, life savings, just run over my life savings. That's
okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy situation. It's like a crazy choice, but of course, I mean, you can never put a price on human life. So I guess I would also prefer to lose my life savings in favor of saving a few lives.
Nice.
Sad,
Well, I was just checking. Right?
Yeah.
Nice. So, Renzo, Belinda, this has been a very enriching conversation. Thanks for accepting this invitation. Also, thanks everyone at home for participating so actively, practicing your listening skills. You now saw AI in action for a learning and a communication setting. So go ahead, use AI to the best of your discretion. Remember, AI won't do the work for you. It is a tool, and you choose how to use it for your benefit. Remember, the next events taking place next week, live class with Freddie, our CEO and co-founder at Platzi. Bogota, March the 24th, this in-person event taking place. And if you are in Mexico City, March the 29th. Make sure you book all these events in your calendar. And as usual, it was a pleasure, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Belinda.
Bye.